Hello and welcome. In this lesson, we're going to talk about writing multi-step linear inequalities. An inequality compares two expressions using these symbols: less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, less than, and greater than. Here's some keywords related to each one of these inequalities. At most, no more than, a maximum of, is for less than or equal to. At least, a minimum of, no less than, is for greater than or equal to. Below, smaller than, fewer than. Forgot to write it down. So less than is, these are the keywords. And also we have greater than, above, more than, exceeds. You also could include the word over. So please write it down, over. Okay, so let's look at some expression here and translate into inequalities. Tonight, you will have fewer than 100 problems for homework. So the keyword is fewer than. So we're talking about problems. So let's represent that by P. Fewer than would be less than 100. So notice right there, fewer than is less than, and I use that to write my inequality. All right, let's go on to the next one. Tomorrow the temperature will be no less than 73. So the keyword is no less than. So it would be, let's use T for temperature. And no less than would be greater than or equal to 73. Right there. Then you must have at least 16 tickets to get a prize. So let's represent tickets with T. And at least would be greater than or equal to. Let's go on to the next ones. There must be fewer than 20 students in each class. So let's represent students by S. And then fewer than would be less than 20. To watch the movie, participants must be over 20 years old. So participants would be P. Over 20 would be greater than 20. And there we go. Raul has at least 20 friends. So friends would be F. At least would be the symbol greater than or equal to 20. Next one says Stevens assigns at most 20 problems for homework. So we're talking about problems, so P. And at most would be less than or equal to 20. Alex can download no more than would be less than or equal to 20. And letter S is representing songs. Next one, it says for a swimming class to be held, there must be a minimum of 20 students. So S would be students greater than or equal to 20. Very good. Let's look at some problems here. A university will spend at most $5,800 to buy monitors and keyboards from a computer lab. Each monitor will cost $110 and each keyboard will cost $60. So monitors is $110, keyboards are $60. Write an inequality representing all possible combinations of X, the number of monitors. So that means 110 monitors is X, and Y, the number of keyboards. So the number of keyboards is going to be represented by the letter Y right there, and X, the number of monitors. And because keyboard is $60, so we're going to write 60Y. Okay, so basically you're going to write the inequality to represent all the possible combination of X, the number of monitors, and the number of keyboards the university can buy. So this would be 110 per monitor plus 60 per keyboard has to be at most, and at most is the symbol less than or equal to 5,800. All right, let's go on to the next one. A customer is ordering hats and t-shirts from an online store. Each hat costs, $15 and a t-shirt costs $12. The customer receives free shipping if the amount of order is over 120. Write an inequality that represents all the possible combinations of hats X and t-shirts Y in order that qualifies for the free shipping. So that's something that you have to always look for. How much does a hat cost? Okay, so that will be the number 15. 15 is associated with X, so 15X plus what is the number associated with shirts? That would be $12, so it would be 12Y. And the keyword here is over 120, so over is greater than 120. So if I buy hats for $15 and t-shirts for $12, if I pay more than 120, if I pay over 120, I get the free shipping, and that's what this symbol means. All right, let's go on to the next example. A bike shop. Helmets for adults are $20. Helmets for children are 60% of the cost of the helmets for adults. Okay, write an inequality representing all possible combinations of X, the number of adult helmets, and Y, the number of children helmets. So we know that the adult hats is 20X, yeah? And then the helmets for children, which would be Y, the price is 60% of the adult helmet. So how do I do percentage? Basically, you do 20, which is the price of adults, and you multiply by the percentage, but you need to change that to decimals. So how do you change 60% to decimals? You write the 60. The decimal point is right here. So we're going to change percentage to a decimal by moving the decimal place 2 decimal places to the left, and then you put a new decimal point right there. So that would be 0.60. So we're going to multiply by 0.6. So when I multiply 20 times 0.6, I get 12. So that means the price of a helmet for children is $12. All right, so the bike shop sells helmets for adults for 20, the helmets for children for 60% of the cost, and write an equality representing all possible combinations of X, the number of helmets, and Y, the number of helmets that a family can buy for no more than $88. So that means no more than $88 will be less than or equal to. That means it has to be less than $88, but it still could be $88, but no more than 88. All right, let's go on to the next and final example. Coach Laura needs to order trophies for a volleyball tournament. A small trophy costs $15. A large trophy costs $25. Write an inequality representing all possible combinations of X, the number of small trophies, and then Y, the number of large trophies that can be purchased if the Coach Laura has a budget of $200 and $220. Okay, so we know that the number of small trophy X is the number associated is 15 plus the number of large trophies and the number associated is 25. And this coach has a budget of $220. That means they can spend $220, but no more than $220, so it'll be less than or equal to. Okay? And that's what we're doing today. We're translating words into inequalities. Okay? So I hope this video is helpful. Thank you very much for your time and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.